Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Sounds like it's going. Yep. Okay, so hey, I just did a 14-hour drive. I came back from visiting my mom. She's down in Virginia. I think I can reveal that. And so we went down there, took a 4-day weekend kind of thing, which I don't really take vacations. I mean, I work holidays and so on now. I basically work as many hours as people will let me. And yeah, it's a really interesting, it's a good drive. I'll talk about that more in a second. So one thing that was happening now and right before I left is Google was trying to tell me to, hey, you had a popular video, you should share it. So this was what it was suggesting. A song I did called In Menham's Vacation with 1,700 views. Pretty sure it's my most viewed song. But you know, I don't really look at my analytics that much, and so I was looking at it, and it's interesting. Okay, first of all, my most popular video viewed 217,000 times, but only 67, almost 68,000 minutes, is this video called Broad Self-Interest. Not really sure. You should watch that. Search Broad Self-Interest, pyrrho 314. You should probably. That's a lot of time, 67,000 minutes. The total amount of time it blows me away is 2,157,000 and some minutes. If you divide that down, that's 4 years worth of viewing. And I was looking, if you, let's say you had 4 years of viewing and people only watched you 10 minutes at a time, you know, Andy Warhol's 10 Minutes of Fame. That means 210,000 people would have watched me for 10 minutes. I mean, I'm not trying. I mean, obviously, I don't have a very popular YouTube channel. It's added up over the years. Those numbers are amazing. I mean, I don't produce my videos. I don't care. I used to be most likely to make a video after I'd been to a party or a friend's and had a few drinks, you know, and it's sloppy and, you know, and on purpose. It's kind of like not trying to command an authority. That's a lot of time. I mean, certainly, you know, 100 years ago or 50 years ago or even 30 years ago, you wouldn't expect somebody with a day job and not really trying to be a lecturer to have that much view time, right? So I consider us all pretty lucky if our goal is to be viewed, right? Like hunting down millions of subscribers. I'm not sure that's any better, because the whole idea of being organic, you know, honest, straightforward, sloppy, if you will, a cross-section of your opinions, you know, with some selection biases of what triggers you to want to make a video over the years as it shifts. You know, that's a lot of time for somebody not trying to make a career, not a novelist, doing book clubs and stuff. You know, I've done a lot of presentations in my life for various reasons, including mostly, you know, my career. You do presentations and you make PowerPoints, and you know, I've done, you know, I can't even count how many, you know, hundreds. You know, in person to, you know, to anywhere from 5 to 30 people, or at conferences, you know, I've spoke, you know, but for, you know, 100 or hundreds of people. And, that adds up, but a hell of a lot slower than, 4 years worth of minutes. So that's interesting. So here's this song. Another popular video is this other thing I did, where I printed out Gary's face on some paper, and I taped the paper together, and I had a Gary mask kind of thing. And I did a video. Basically, what I did was I listened to a Gary video that was, recent at the time, and then and at the same time that I was listening, I had my headphones on behind the mask, and I channeled it. Turned out great. And back then, Gary had a decent sense of humor about such things, and he didn't consider that an insult. So this also, anyway, let's just watch this. It's only 1 minute and 30 seconds. Probably totally doc drops me or something, but whatever. Okay, here we go. Gary, you're a strange one, making conversation in Manhattan worldwide. When you need to take a nice vacation, all you gotta do is just step outside, hit a few balls, take a walk, not a ride, jump in a pool and then back inside. Got a lot of knowledge that you didn't get in college, but it's kind of strange sometimes. Got a lot of facts from National Geographic, circa 1979 or maybe 85. You should read a little Nature. Just don't write them like they used to. It's a physics magazine. They still write them though, right? You might want to read a little Nature. Tell you about life, tell you about light, and tell you what to do when you get uptight. That's advice that you need quite a lot, cause you really get bothered when your collar gets hot. Gary, you're a strange one, make a conversation in Mendham worldwide. When you need to get a nice vacation, all you gotta do is just go outside. Okay, so that had 2 chords. Obviously, the most popular song because it's about Gary, so Gary fans watched it. Presumably. Because look, here, I'll show you. This is... I have many of the songs that I did are better. Many are worse. But like this. Well, let's see which those 2 of the... Let's say this one. This is way better, obviously. I'm in the middle of the riddle. In a little I'll see clear. 6-dimensional time-space can rewind, and you find you in an old time with a new face in an old place, and you find that you really don't mind this time because right, I mean, even if you don't like either of those songs, this one's obviously the better. This one's better. I can see clearly now. I can see all the obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds. I mean, this is way better. And, I had this idea of Black Sun, so I looked that up, and that circle there, but that's Nazis used that symbol. Okay, so how's about that? And then this one, which was made in honor of Cosmic Zen. I feel I was a little bit inspired. Yeah, 230 views. This is why I could give a shit how many views as far as reflecting what's good. Though this analytics, this broad self-interest, I kind of like it, But like, and it getting a 200,000 views makes me, oh, maybe that's the best video. But I don't even understand, why is that collecting these views? I mean, it is literally collecting more views than a new video of mine gets. Like, it shows up on my most watched video every month now for a couple years. Just collecting 100 and 100 and 100, and it's from 2008. So 10 years adds up, if you just, but it's still doing it. It's probably the algorithm feeding it out to people. They just watch whatever gets fed to them. But Cosmic Zen, who remembers him? What a great guy. I really miss him. Dead, really, because of the lack of proper health care. Here's that in Mendham video I was talking about. This isn't a song, but I put it in my song.
Hello? This is a video response to Matt. Or maybe to
Thou
Luke,
art
is
that.
it 12,000? I am in Mendham. I have a funny accent because I'm a funny guy.
Or for that matter, this one. This is good. I like, but it was a bad audio, bad production quality. It's hard to notice, though. This is the snake.
Don't think you're more cynical than me, I'm more cynical than you, and Diogenes, but together you two don't.
I mean, it's just, it's good lyrics. Don't think you're more cynical than me, I'm more cynical than you and Diogenes, put together you two don't amount to me, so think about things realistically. You come across like the king of the dweebs telling nerds how to think about things. You can't say the same thing about me is true. If you need me to think for you, you could tell us because we need to know. We think it's because you need to show all the stupid shit you did to become a popular kid, but you don't look so popular to me. I think you're living in a fantasy. Get back when they write a check, but still you won't give respect. Fame don't mean nothing. But you think that that's so strange to say. Low-watt fame just keeps you running. Look at them preening in the sun like they're having sex with a supermodel or something. Fame don't mean nothing, but you think that's so strange to say. Because, Naked, he was saying, I'm 60 years old and I have sex with supermodels. Yeah. I'm still a big snake flan. Flan? I've never actually had, but I understand, it's tasty. So, you know what I'm saying? The popular... See, like in this one, this is like my favorite song. This was a totally emotional day. This has meaning to me in my life where I had processed something at a super critical, dramatic time in my life. And like, when nobody likes this, well, 355 views, I guess, for my song, that would be decent.
I feel strange.
So, I mean,
I won't
weird.
explain myself today. I changed.
Or this song, which I wrote when I broke up with my now wife. My girlfriend and I were broke up for 6 months, and then I got her back. And this is one of a couple songs that are about that.
Self-image is got in the way. I'm so sorry it turns out this way.
But she is musical and she liked this song. Why would I care what anybody else thought compared to that? I'm just saying, obviously, I would like these songs in a totally different order than their rating. And that, let's see, and that, in Mendham Vacation was, I do like it, but I mean, it's a 2-chord song and I didn't do any production at all, but maybe people would like it more because it's not over-echoed. I think the Conference Report one is one of the better. Karma, I mean, there's some good songs in here. Suicidal King, where I overdubbed, I forget who. This is probably the best, but in an objective sense.
What about again? Those sound effects or that's sound effects. If everything goes according to plan, I'll be lying on the beach, I'll be laying in the sand on a winter's day, living that way, even though there's pineapples in reach. I'm eating a peach on the beach. It's from very far away. Oh, Georgia, I don't like your politics, but I like your peaches. Just Just send more peaches.
Cheers. So deep, so deep. Great lyrics. Love that. I love this guy. Yeah. Anyway, so whatever. It was telling me to share that Eminem song. Let's see, how do I get this thing back down? I guess I just turn it off. I don't know. Do I need it? Yeah, no, I guess not. Let's see. Here, we just do this. Bang. All right, so today I drove. My wife wasn't feeling so well. She doesn't really like driving at night. And, but usually we share the driving pretty 50-50, but like, you know, if we leave early, it's great. It's like she'll drive in the morning or whatever. But she wasn't feeling so well, so I drove the whole 14 hours from Virginia to Maine. And, you know, the Google Maps and whatnot wants to take you past New York, kind of right through Boston. You get on 95 early. I don't really like that, and it's funny because it used to say it was like an hour more to go up the Pennsylvania way I prefer, and now it only says it's 20 minutes more. But anyway, it's less because you easily lose 20 minutes to an hour taking your chances against traffic. Because even if the traffic is good, you'll lose 15 minutes, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 places, and, you know, that's an hour. So it evens out. But also, it's funny traveling with Google Maps as opposed to the old days where you would have like the person that, you know, the passenger has to be the navigator and like keep the map right. Wait, what? And then recalculating. It's almost not worth it. You almost always just turn around and go back to where you already figured out your path. Google Maps makes it better, but of course it wants you on bigger highways and things that mathematically, theoretically have faster. But changing freeways takes time in reality. The number of times you go the wrong way and have to double back and stuff. So what I like to do, I mean, I love to go by the city and look at the city. But it costs us time. And, you know, 14-hour drive, Google will say it's supposed to be 11 and a half to 12 and a half hours. Of course, you got to stop sometimes. So it's like a 14 or 15-hour drive for us, the way we do it. I like to stop a lot. I mean, and I'll try to keep it to 5 minutes instead of 15, you know, which changes that buffer of a couple hours, you know, by a factor of 3. But, you know, but obviously have to stop. You're going to have to take an hour or two on a whole 12-hour period. And so even just for bathroom breaks, and even if you're a minimalist, you can keep it down to 5 minutes a lot easier than you can, you know, not stop at all. The main thing is don't have, you know, 5 half-hour stops. Have 5 10-minute stops. And you know, and that's similar time periods. It's hard sometimes to tell the difference between, you know, 10 minutes and a half an hour, but it's a factor of 3. But so I like to go up. We like to go up. So my mom lives in the Shenandoah Valley. What I like to do, but sometimes I've used Google Maps or it recalculates or whatever, and we end up not getting this route. But I mean, I need to now I know the route well enough just to take it, you know, I don't even need a map really, because I mean, like something like, I don't know, 60 or 70% is all on 84, which goes, you know, east to west, west to east, Massachusetts, over into a nice part, into a deep part of Pennsylvania, and you go through Connecticut and New York and stuff. But then you go down the Shenandoah Highway, what is, I forget now whether that's 81 or, I think that's 81. And then the east-west part is 84. And then you have a couple connecting roads, but basically you're doing 3 highways all the way between here and Virginia. And you cut inland, so you don't get to see the cities, but which, if there was no traffic and if the 6-lane highways weren't full of a bunch of maniac drivers, I would love to go that way. But You go through Penns, and the interesting thing, see, so I grew up in California, where if you're driving somewhere for 10 hours, you're going to probably be on Highway 5. And it is just this straight road through, there's not really tumbleweeds, but it's kind of like that. It's like a dry brush grassland that's brown, and it's straight and monotonous. It's really, really hard not to fall asleep. Whereas from here, and growing up in California, I was given a total misconception of I was raised, and I think most Californians, to think like, you look at a map of the East Coast, you see all those roads, and you figure, oh my God, that's all city. It's all like Jersey City. In reality, even New York isn't like that. There's trees and vines and stuff. It's fairly pretty driving, on the freeways that take you by and over the Hudson and all that. But, it would all be forest if, some of the cities hadn't, had a lot of trees cut down. You go over to Pennsylvania, you see that there's like, I don't know what it is, 1,000 miles of forest from Maine, and it goes up into Canada too, all the way down to Florida. But the type of forest changes. So it's kind of like, it's very similar all the way down into Massachusetts. Into Pennsylvania it changes. Connecticut a little bit different, but sort of Pennsylvania-ish. But then the landscape isn't. Like, the hills are really short, but it's really hilly. It's all bumpy. And you get Pennsylvania where you get some, it's also hilly, but it's a little more gradual. And again, forest, but the trees have changed. You go down into Shenandoah Valley and in Virginia and everything, and Maryland, the type of trees keep changing, but it's like one huge forest. It's, I enjoy, I enjoy it. I think a 14-hour trip is a really difficult one to time. Probably the best we've done is today, where it's like from 9 till 11. That's 14 hours, right? And, that's a reasonable time to leave by, because we were up, visiting with my uncle and mom and everything. They're all conservatives, love them dearly. But, that's a pretty good thing. Leaving at 8 and getting here at 10 would be good too. But I mean, 9 is a really, you can wake up at 9, and 11 isn't so bad to get home. It's like 1 now, but that's like, okay, 2 hours of decompression after driving all that time. That's pretty good. So, yeah, I really love the East Coast. I was raised as a Californian to not really appreciate it, but I didn't understand it. I mean, the East Coast is really, I mean, it's a really bountiful area. I mean, when people would talk about the idea of America with, what's it called, the cornucopia or whatever, I would always think California, because California, when you pump water in, it's turned out to, be able to produce this massive amount of food for, not just America, but even the world. It's a huge amount. And I thought about that, but that's somewhat technology, because California is kind of a arid desert in general, and you pump water into places like that, and there was grasslands there for thousands or millions of years. You can do great with agriculture, so fine. But in terms of going all the way back in American history, I just never realized that it's like the East Coast is a really, a beautiful kind of nature. In terms of environmentalism, it's like, that's what you don't want to lose. There's still a ton of nature. I mean, like in California, they clear cut places where, therefore, there are no trees. And I think of clear cutting as, therefore, then there will be no trees. Well, they clear cut Maine. I'm pretty sure they clear cut Maine. And, in the frozen, snowy land kind of place, the trees grow back. I mean, they're probably not as impressive as an old growth over here would be, but they recover. Whereas in California, it's just like there used to be all these redwoods, and guess what there is now? Grass. Over here, there used to be older trees, and guess what there is now? Newer trees. So, it's funny because it's really hard to stay awake on Highway 5 in California, whereas I didn't stay up that late last night, but we drank, bottle of wine or two, and got to bed, I think 11:30 or midnight. And so, you know, if I had had to drive 14 hours on 5, I would have had to pull over probably and take a few naps, to be safe on the road. Whereas here, it's really, really interesting views and stuff, and it's constantly changing and it's constantly beautiful. We were driving along, there were some, from the shadow of the clouds on the road, I saw the clouds were going almost 80 miles an hour, like 70 to 75 miles an hour, because the shadow was going that fast. And plus everything down there was no snow, and as we went up, the lakes got froze and the snow got thicker. So anyway, and I really do love my mom and my uncle that came down, and aunt, and they're conservative, and it's just so funny because I think they treat me like the exception that proves the rule, because they're pretty much at this point Fox News conservatives that are like Don Jr. was saying, liberals love crime, they hate America, and they want to destroy America, and they don't think that way about me, but they do think, like, I guess I'm the exception that proves the rule for them. Like, yeah, he's just fooled by it. He doesn't really want that, but the rest of them want that, and it's so sad. But we have really great conversations, and we're pretty much at the point where we avoid politics, but we did get into politics a little, and but not too much. My mom was a little bit like, "Hey, stop talking those politics." But anyway, I'm back home. Welcome back, pyrrho. All right, cheers.